The story begins on New Year's Eve in a city where people are celebrating, drinking, and immersed in parties. However, these festivities suddenly turn into terror when a sniper begins gunning down people from a distance. The sniper fires at several buildings, killing anyone who comes into his line of sight. During this chaos, we meet a police officer named Eleanor, who is busy resolving a dispute between two individuals. At that moment, Eleanor receives a call ordering all police units to reach a nearby plaza. She immediately heads there, and we learn that the sniper has targeted 25 people so far. The police soon discover that all the shots were fired from an apartment on the 17th floor of a building. Just as the police reach the location, that same apartment suddenly blows up in a powerful explosion, causing a stampede throughout the building. As everyone runs to save their lives, Eleanor begins filming the crowd so that if the killer tries to escape among the people, he can be caught later. Afterward, police and firefighters enter the smoke-filled building. As they enter the apartment, Eleanor finds it difficult to breathe due to the smoke and loses consciousness for a moment, but a detective named Mac tends to her by putting on an oxygen mask. Meanwhile, the FBI's chief investigator, Geoffrey Lammark, arrives at the scene and is informed that the flat belongs to a man living in another country. The scene shifts to the police station where Chief Lammark holds a meeting with his team. Later, he advises Deputy Governor Capleton to close all highways so the killer cannot escape, but Capleton refuses, saying it would spread panic among the public and tarnish his image. After this, Lammark asks Eleanor for her advice. Eleanor suggests that the killer is likely doing all of this for his own satisfaction. That is why he killed 29 people, whereas he could have stopped at 2. When Lammark asks why he didn't kill more, Eleanor explains that perhaps his thirst was quenched for that night, but he will strike again soon. Lammark is quite impressed by her insights, and, the next morning, he calls Eleanor and offers her a position on his FBI team. At that moment, a police officer rushes in with news that they have located the killer. They all arrive at a building that a SWAT team has already surrounded. Another FBI agent informs them that the suspect is a young man who lives directly above the apartment where the explosion occurred. During police questioning, he barricaded himself inside and began threatening to kill everyone. Frank points out that the boy seems like the perfect suspect. He was harassed at school, leading him to drop out. He spends his days watching videos of terrorists, and he is obsessed with violent video games. However, despite these facts, Lammark is not convinced he is the real killer, and Eleanor shares the same gut feeling. Soon, the SWAT team breaks down the door and confronts the boy. Terrified, the boy tries to flee and jumps out of his bedroom window, falling to his death. Following this tragedy, the police discover the boy was unarmed, confirming they had pursued the wrong person. Lammark then decides to interrogate the painters who had previously worked in that apartment, as the owner lives abroad, and those painters had access to the keys. The 3 painters are soon brought in for questioning. Lammark asks about their whereabouts on the evening of the incident, and they each provide their respective alibis. A few days later, the scene shifts to a mall, where we see a man trying on clothes. Meanwhile, another man enters the trial room, and when the first man returns, he discovers that his clothes are missing. At the same time, that same man is seen taking a shower in the bathroom. It turns out he is the one who stole the first man's clothes. Another person notices him there and feels uneasy, so he informs security. Security immediately rushes to the bathroom, but the thief has already escaped. Later, they catch him in the cafeteria, where he is trying to steal leftover food. The guards repeatedly ask him to open his bag, but he refuses. Suddenly, he pulls out a gun and starts shooting everyone. At that moment, Eleanor is at a gun shop when she receives a call. When she reaches the mall, bodies of civilians and police officers are scattered everywhere. After reviewing the CCTV footage, it is discovered that the killer is thin and about 6 feet tall, but his face is covered. After careful consideration, Eleanor says that the man did not come there to kill, but to get food and clean himself. She also notes that he ate only vegetables from the plate, which suggests that he is a vegetarian. By observing the way he fired his shots in the video, they conclude that he is a skilled marksman. They also see in the footage that he placed a grenade inside a trash can to kill several police officers at once. Later, the police try to find his old clothes in the bathroom, but they are not there because the garbage truck has already taken them away. Eleanor and her partner Mac go to the landfill and start searching through piles of trash for the killer's clothes. Meanwhile, Lammark is under immense pressure from senior officials who are only concerned about the governor's image. Eventually, Mac and Eleanor manage to find the killer's clothes. At the same time, footage of the mall incident is shown on television, and the public is asked for help in identifying the killer. Eleanor also continues investigating the painters. When she checks the bank statements of a painter named Rodney, she discovers that he was working at several places at the same time. Meanwhile, the lab results of the killer's clothes arrive, revealing traces of broken hair, which are commonly found in people who have suffered a head injury. The next day, during a meeting, senior officials accuse Lammark of incompetence, saying that so many people were killed under his watch, and the police failed to catch the killer. After the meeting, both Lammark and Eleanor are removed from their positions and taken off the investigation. When Eleanor returns home, she becomes mentally overwhelmed by everything that has happened, but suddenly she gets an idea and, in the middle of the night, goes to meet the painter named Rodney. She asks him how he was working so many jobs at the same time, which suggests that he was passing his work on to others, and that one of them could be the killer. At first, Rodney denies it, but then he begins to tell the truth. Eleanor also calls Lammark, and Rodney explains that he often hired people who had previously been in prison, people no one else would give a job to. These men worked for very little money, and Rodney used to bring them lunch during work hours. He tells them that one of those men was named Dean, who was vegan and did not eat meat. When Rodney asked him why, Dean said that he had previously worked in a slaughterhouse, after which he gave up eating meat. Rodney also says that Dean's height and body type were exactly the same as those of the killer seen in the mall. Hearing this, they call in a sketch artist, and with Rodney's help, a sketch of Dean is prepared. Since there are only 3 slaughterhouses in the city, they begin searching those locations for the killer. They show the sketch to different workers, and finally, at one place, an elderly woman recognizes him as Dean. She says that he was a quiet and hardworking man who never bothered anyone. After that, Eleanor studies Dean's files and learns that Dean's father was in the military. When Dean was a child, he was shot in the head. He survived, but the incident left a deep injury to his brain and severe psychological trauma. Shortly afterward, they arrive at Dean's mother's house. Just then, Dean's mother comes home, and they begin interrogating her about her son. She refuses to tell them anything because she is afraid the police will kill him. However, Lammark assures her that they only want to capture him alive. Reassured, she lets them inside. She then tells them that she last saw her son a few days earlier. She says that Dean was a cheerful and intelligent child, but when he was 6 years old, his father accidentally shot him in the head, and he barely survived. Dean survived the injury, but he was never normal again. As he grew older, he began to hate the world and chose to live in isolation. She also tells them that Dean's father had trained him to join the military, but he was never accepted into the army. Meanwhile, Eleanor looks out the window and notices 2 cups of tea and a shirt hanging outside. In the distance, she also spots a small shed and tries to warn Lammark, but it is already too late. Suddenly, Dean opens fire on Lammark from the shed, killing him on the spot. The woman warns Eleanor not to move and says that if she does, she will be killed as well. Eleanor hands over her phone and gun and asks the woman to persuade Dean to surrender. The woman goes outside and begs her son to lay down his weapon and turn himself in to the police. She tells him that Eleanor can help him and even save him from going to prison. But when Dean gives no response, the woman becomes hopeless and in a moment of rage and despair, shoots herself. Seeing this, Dean steps out of the shed in shock and grief and enters the house. He tells Eleanor that his anger is not driven by personal revenge, but by his hatred of people in general. Eleanor tells him that she understands why he hates people so much, because sometimes she feels the same way herself. After talking for a while, Dean begins to trust her and says that he will now go and lie down beside his dead mother. He asks Eleanor to shoot him once he falls asleep and then burn his body. Eleanor agrees, but at that very moment a police car arrives. Seeing this, Dean believes Eleanor has betrayed him. He attacks her with his rifle, drags her into the basement, and ties her up. Outside, a police officer knocks on the door, but Dean shoots him. Another officer calls for backup, but he is also shot by Dean. Soon, the entire police force arrives and surrounds the area. Meanwhile, Eleanor begs Dean to stop this madness. She pleads with him to untie her, promising that she will go outside, handle the police, and save his life. The police outside decide to open fire, but before they can act, a bomb explodes. Taking advantage of the chaos, Eleanor bites Dean's neck. Dean is injured, but instead of taking revenge, he spares her and leaves the house with his rifle. After some time, Eleanor manages to free herself and staggers out of the basement. She sees Mac outside and tells him that Dean is injured but still alive. Meanwhile, Dean runs toward the open fields behind his house. Police vehicles arrive there and find him collapsed on the ground, blood flowing from his neck. When Dean tries to pick up his gun, the police open fire and kill him. In the final scene, Eleanor meets her senior officers, who insist that the entire operation be kept secret, so that all the credit goes to the FBI and the governor. They offer Eleanor a job in the FBI in exchange for her silence. However, Eleanor refuses their terms and demands that Lammark be awarded a medal posthumously. They agree to all her conditions, and the story ends there.